Pezza, I don't want to get weird about this, but mate, what a World Cup we are having. What a World Cup. Every game is unbelievable. I don't know who's going to win anything. I'm not really sure it spits out like who's the best in the world, because has there ever been a more even World Cup where basically everyone can beat everyone? And that is sort of happening. And even when that doesn't happen, at least it's close. So that's something. Big grounds, some people there sometimes, depending on what cities, and some guys do well and some guys don't do well. I'm just explaining the game of cricket now, but I'm having a great time, man. This is a fucking sensational World Cup. And welcome back to the Tubs. Welcome back to the Tubs. TGC, as you know, is powered by Cred. Cred are bringing insane rewards during this World Cup all the way until November 6. And let me tell you about paydays, Pez. Let me tell you about these paydays. If you are having a payday coming up, get yourself around a venue that's hosting a World Cup semi-final, because that's happening Wednesday, Thursday next week, and then the big dance on Sunday. And as ever, TGC, TGC thanks Cred for powering them during this World Cup. Let's get right into it, Pez. Australia gone. Australia no more. The hosts are out. The champs are out. The defending champions no more. See you later, England. And who have you got
in Group 2?
Sure.
Well, I would be very surprised if South Africa and India somehow confect to lose tomorrow. So I expect those two to go through. To your point up the top about not knowing what's going on this World Cup, yeah, like Sri Lanka tease horsed us a bit. This game started on fire. They were clawed back by England, who bowled really well through Adil Rashid and just generally pace off gear before the ultimate pace on gear Mark Wood in the last over. But really, Sri Lanka didn't look to me like they knew how to do the business from the middle overs onwards. Fair play. I think England outskilled them there, and the Butler Hales show took it away. Look, I'll put it this way: there's a bit of blue ball stuff. I think if you're English, there's a bit of blue ball stuff towards the end, but Stokesy, it's Stokesy. Sam Curran for a bit as well. Too much experience. England goes too deep. I mean, England are favourites. And we can say that now without people thinking there's some kind of voodoo shit going on. Australia's out. And not only out, bounced out, bundled out, crashed out of the World Cup. Those verbs are important. England's looking pretty good to me, mate. And so they should with their white ball revolution in 2015. I think that they should be adding another trophy to the cabinet. But they are going to have to get past what's looking like a pretty decent Indian side in Adelaide on Thursday.
Yeah, that does look like it's going to be the case. If India beat Zimbabwe tomorrow, they will finish top of Group 2. England have finished second in Group 1. Therefore, Adelaide, India versus England. That is going to be pretty tasty. England, they fucked around with us during before the World Cup. They were like, we're not the favourites. Australia's the favourites. Oh, you've done us like a roast dinner. Well played, sir. You've bent me over. You've spread the cheeks and you've buttered the bread. You have played us to a T, and kudos to you, English men and women across the lands, of which you used to own many. England are the best team. Like even when it was starting to get a little bit close, it's Moeen Ali coming in at 6, it's Curran at 7, it's Wokes at 8, and that's also because Milan has not batted because he got sniped by earlier on in the innings right to the groin, and you hate to see that. Friend of the show, Dawood Milan. So it's just deep and it's good and it's high skill, and there are good teams in the tournament, but I'll still say something outrageous just because clicks and that. They are comfortably the best team in the tournament. There, I said it. Anyway, Australia's gone and we're supposed to feel things, but that is just even though Australia finishes on the same points as New Zealand and the United Kingdom, Team GB. it just does. It doesn't feel like that has been the case. I think you might have said it in the last night, Pez. Australia's had sustained mediocrity, and I don't feel like they deserve to go through, which is actually lucky because they haven't. So well played, England. Well done. I want to talk about the second thing, if I may. You just can't leave Ben Stokes out. So much chat about is he valuable in the side? You know, his stats don't line up in T20 international cricket, but this is just a guy who Ben Stokes is fucking clutch. He's just like it. I don't think there's a cricketer in the world at the moment. No, let's go bigger. There's never been a better cricketer for clutch moments than Ben Stokes. He is the guy, man or woman, who you want at the crease with the ball in the hand, underneath the catch, batting, to save your life. Because he would take that on, and he'd probably get a tattoo about it afterwards. Okay. Respect. Clutch.
All right, you've gone big there, and I'll back you. I'll back your spirit. You know, like a child in primary school who needs a little gold sticker. You know, going, you just keep going, and you might one day become something. No, I'm not going. Look, you know, when you say he's the most clutch player in the history of the game, that paralyzes me in such a way that if you asked me to name one song, I couldn't. Right now, I know he's not the most clutch ever, but I can't think of any player that's ever played the game now apart from Ed O'Brandy's, and that just says something about my brain, you know.
Did D from Neighbours play?
Yeah, like Toadfish just in the intro credits of Neighbours swiping across the line flat bat. Back in the day, that was actually he would have been pilloried for not getting his elbow up, but he was ahead of his time. That's called a flat bat over mid-on today. Anyway, R.I.P. Neighbours. But I take your point. Obviously, I was hoping for a little bit more chaos towards the end, a little bit more of a laugh on this show, and seeing Ben Stokes at the crease, and it's easy to say now, but it wasn't going to happen. I think there have been some interesting points made about what his place in the side is with England, and I think I interpret those conversations in the same way that you might around the sacred cows of the Australian cricket team, or you might even say there's some in the Indian cricket team as well. Like there's a couple of kind of multi-format players where the more sophistication that T20 as a format develops, the more you start to give credibility to it and stop seeing cricket as this place where just the best players play in all formats. So I see it more about T20 developing, except that Ben Stokes is well worth a place in the T20 side. Ben Stokes is a guy that he does the business at all levels, including like the IPL when it's working for him. I just think that questions about how much he can turn up for T20 cricket are really down to a completely impossible schedule where in a couple of years' time you're literally going to be asking Ben Stokes to play two different formats like at the same time, hopefully on grounds that are next to each other so he can actually get off the field from an innings to have a bowl. So yeah, Australians are demonized by Stokes is a demonic presence for Australians. You know that when he's there in a tough situation, he's going to get it done, and fair play to him. It's one thing I agree with that Justin LANKA said, which is that he's the best player in world cricket. That is what I would say.
It's interesting. That's interesting.
He's the best cricketer in the world, I think, Ben Stokes. And pound for pound, they're boxers now. And so if cricketers were boxers and you were weighing them in terms of their relative strength via pounds, which I don't even measure weight in, and then you were running them in a stalled gift type scenario where you were handicapping them according to their pace, then I would put Ben Stokes as the best cricketer in the world.
Yeah, but also, what's heavier, a ton of feathers or a ton of bricks? So that is something to think about in the future, moving forward. That is something to think about. He also got a chance to bat three in this game because obviously Milan was injured in the fielding innings, but so that might have helped him or aided him in some capacity, given that it was a relatively low run chase and the platform that was set up with Hales and Butler. They were number 70 off the first 10, and it looked like they were going to absolutely dick it in.
I think, they fucking made 70 in the power play. It was game over.
Right. Right. And then as what happened in the Sri Lankan batting innings, it just seemed to get slower and slower the older that ball got. And there was pace off and all that kind of shit. And then obviously Sri Lanka spinners bowled excellently, as did England spinners. Adil Rashid, definitely the performance of the tournament for him. Sam Curran, again, just so valuable in those middle overs. And death, like perfecting Yorkers into the deck, surprise bouncer. He's fucking so good. Anyway, it's all shaping up pretty well and a great performance all around for England. As I don't know if England have really turned it on just yet in the tournament, but they keep winning games, and that's always a good sign of a good team.
It's looking like a successful World Cup for England. It's got all of the hallmarks of a team that's getting better as well. It went through the blip, the loss it didn't have to have, but the surprising loss that will go down as the moment that woke them up. And then they're it's fitting into, you like overlay the narrative of every team that's ever won a World Cup, even though the truth is they're all different. You retrospectively do it once they win the World Cup. See, we should have known all along, like a big fucking whodunit murder. There are no red herrings here. England was staring us in the face.
Yeah, basically, it's like Scooby-Doo, where it's the guy, it's the side character from the beginning of the episode. It's like, oh yeah, we should have known all along, and he was using a projector and a sheet over his head. That's how we did it. Third thing, Pez. Let's give some love to Sri Lanka, who I'm not like it was always going to look difficult for Sri Lanka to qualify in this group, but Sri Lanka looked dangerous in this game, and perhaps not in the tournament generally. It did look like in the Australian wickets, it didn't suit their star players, mainly Hasaranga and even their batters. But I mean, Nasanka today, what did he finish with, Nasanka? I thought Nasanka was, at the beginning, he was fucking chubbing me up big time. He was rubbing my dick to get it hard. Unnecessarily graphic there. No. But he finished 67 or 45. And I just thought, like, are we seeing a game where just a guy gets a random 100 and then he wins the game by himself? Like, I thought that was kind of going to happen. And then he ran down the wicket in Rashid's last over. And I was like, you fucked us again, Sri Lanka. When I say again, it's just because you beat us the other month, whatever that was. But Sri Lanka do have players, but it just seems like in the Australian wickets, even though this was a slower track at the SCG, in the Australian wickets, it did seem like it was going to be harder for them to qualify. But and then they got it back in the end as well. Who bowled the 17th over? Was it? It was Kumara. And when he got Curran out, he bowled a wicket, 1 run off over. That's not a thing, but I've just made it up. And then it just clawed it back. So I don't know. There were some performances here, but I don't know. I guess they didn't win, so therefore they're the worst team I've ever seen.
I think there was some suggestion that had Sri Lanka made another 20, then it would have been harder, but I think that England probably would have timed their chase differently as well. It's some butterfly effect shit. I don't know. I think that was a great description of Pathum Nasanka as well. He was dynamic. He was fluid. It was disappointing when he got out. I was trying to work out how to say his first name. It kind of sounded like a Pathum, like an American man with a lisp. I was like, that maybe is that how you say his and that American man with a lisp trying to say possum, but not that's about all I've got.
Pathum.
Pathum Nasanka. Anyway, nothing else to add there, mate, from Sri Lanka's point of view.
Where do they finish in the group? They finished top of Group A and they finished 4th in Group 1. Hashtag AskTGC. This one comes in from Anonymous Pez. Hashtag AskTGC. Is Elon Musk personally taking interest in cricket the only way to fast track preaching the game globally? Just imagine a Russia versus USA World Cup final at the MCG. Wouldn't that be the biggest sexual fetish for any cricket fan?
The biggest sexual fetish for any cricket fan. I mean, the most sexual fetishes I've seen from cricket players are just at clubs. Just involve the covers after the day's play and things happening underneath. So I don't know. I don't like particularly get aroused over Russia versus USA, though. You know, like you'd be curious to know what kind of what sort of brand of cricket they'd play and do in sort of St. Petersburg away and what sort of decks they'd set up. That kind of gear, but I would have thought I don't. You think Elon Musk is the guy to bring that on? Like are we all thinking at the moment? Like he's the man who makes things happen. Like I would have thought Elon Musk would be more like just given his current sort of form, he'd be keen to play. You know what I mean? Like isn't that sort of how Elon Musk could play it? Like he'd kind of say, like, I'm sort of batting 3 and opening the polling here, like,
Yeah. I agree with you. I agree with you, though. Like, the biggest sexual fetish of cricketers, for me, that I've seen, involves picking up other guys' bats when, like, they're waiting to bat and guessing the weight.
Yeah.
That does...
For
that
me,
does seem to be...
at my club, it was just pure group sex. It was just pure, like, it was just trying to find a woman who would have sex with 10 men. So that's slightly... Now, I'm not glorifying it. I'm just truly saying
it's just what happened.
That's what happened. I was never involved in any of that. I'm just providing an information exchange. So if someone says, is that the greatest sexual fetish of cricketers, Russia playing the USA in cricket, I'd have to disagree because of the cricketers I've played with. It was a much more simple idea, and it was just one woman and as many men as possible, some of them hiding in wardrobes and stuff, all consensual, obviously, but yeah, that's just my response to that.
At my club, it was strippers. There was a strong, like, every year, that's how the club got together to focus on our goals of 500 runs, sort of 40 wickets. How do we do that? Let's get a couple of strippers into the club and raise morale at the club.
Midweek, wasn't it?
And that's how we did it.
After training.
It was midweek. Mate, that's not a thing you do on the weekend. That was always a Tuesday or a Thursday thing, depending on what time of season it was, who was around, whether it was La Nina, whether Nina was available. These were all factors. And you know what, Pez, let's sign off on that note. I am so looking forward to the semi-finals and the last day of Group 2 tomorrow. We are going to be at the MCG for Pakistan and Bangladesh, and also for India and Zimbabwe. That game is sold out. We're doing side mouth. We'll be reviewing the games as well. We'll be there. Come and say good day if you're there, or if you're not, come and say good day to us on YouTube. See you guys later.